Okay, so picture this. A career where it's not just about clocking in and out, but really making a difference, like a real impact in the lives of others. And not just anyone. We're talking about working with people who have a lifetime of stories of wisdom, and maybe just a little bit of, let's be real, stubbornness sometimes. Ever thought about a career as a gerontology social worker?
You hit the nail on the head. It's not just a job. It's about really diving into one of the biggest things happening in society right now, the aging population.
And that's exactly why we're taking this deep dive today. We've got some amazing insights from RoleCatcher.com. They've put together a ton of info about what it really takes to not just survive, but thrive as a gerontology social worker.
Yeah, we're going way beyond just reading off job descriptions today. It's like, think of it as a backstage pass to really get what this career is all about.
Love that. So let's get down to it. What do gerontology social workers actually DO? It's got to be more than paperwork and, I don't know, holding hands, right?
Oh, way more. RoleCatcher describes it as assistance to elderly individuals and their families, helping them cope with their biopsychosocial needs. Okay, before you think I'm about to hit you with a medical school term.
Because honestly, biopsychosocial sounds a little intense.
Right. It sounds very textbooky, but it actually really gets at what this job is about. It means looking at the whole person, so their physical health, their mental well-being, and their social life. So imagine helping someone navigate healthcare, being there for them after they lose someone close to them, even connecting them with things in their community that bring them joy.
Wow. Okay, I see how rewarding that would be. But RoleCatcher doesn't sugarcoat things. Reading that pros and cons section was eye-opening.
Yeah, this isn't a job for someone who isn't ready for some tough stuff. You're dealing with end-of-life issues, families that can be got complicated, and burnout is definitely a real thing to look out for.
Definitely heavy stuff. But RoleCatcher mentions a projected 17% job growth in this field, which is huge E. Seems like the need for people who are compassionate and skilled is only going to get bigger.
Totally. And that's not just a random number. It shows how crucial gerontology social workers are becoming. How about we get into what a typical day looks like? I thought it was super helpful how RoleCatcher broke the career into stages.
Yeah, so what would someone just starting out be doing day to day compared to, say, someone who's been doing this for years?
Someone entry level might be spending a lot of time researching what resources are out there, for their clients, and doing those initial client assessments, plus acting as the go-between for families and doctors. It's like building your skill set and learning the ropes, basically.
So you need strong organization and communication skills right away.
Exactly. Then as you get more experience and move into those more senior roles, you might find yourself creating those personalized care plans, being a mentor to newer social workers, even advocating for bigger changes, like policies that impact older adults' lives.
That's awesome. It's like this career path has room to really grow with you.
Yeah.
You could go from working one-on-one with clients
Hmm.
to making these system-wide changes. It's true. It's like leveling up in the video game or something, but with real impact.
Speaking of leveling up, let's talk about those skills you need to actually make it in this field. RoleCatcher has this whole section about like functions and core abilities, and some of it surprised me. I mean, okay, I get empathy, being a good listener, but they also mention stuff like persuasion, even like systems evaluation, so it's not just about being a nice person.
No, not at all. You got to be able to think critically, solve problems, and honestly, a bit of a diplomat wouldn't hurt either. Think about it. You might be advocating for your client to a doctor, or trying to work through family stuff that's, well, messy, or even helping someone understand a tough diagnosis. You need tact, and you can't give up easily.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense when you put it that way. But then there's this whole thing about philosophy and theology, and I'm like, what? You don't have to be like Socrates to be a gerontology social worker,
Yeah.
right?
Well, maybe not Socrates, but you're going to run into some pretty big questions when you're working with older adults. Questions about, like, what's their purpose now? What did their life mean? Legacy, even spiritual stuff. If you're a gerontology social worker who can handle those talks, with care and insight, that's huge for the people you're working with. It's seeing the whole person, not just the aging part. Wow, that adds a whole other layer to this, huh? It's like this blend of, I don't know, your head and your heart. You need the practical skills, but also that emotional intelligence. So say someone's listening and they're like, okay, this is interesting, but how do I even start? What's the education for this look like, according to RoleCatcher?
It probably won't surprise you that a solid background in social work is key. So we're talking degrees in social work, could be gerontology specifically, maybe psychology, sociology, even human development. Lots of paths can get you there.
So you could come from healthcare, Social sciences, maybe you have experience in counseling already, all sorts of backgrounds.
Exactly. And listen, while those degrees are important, RoleCatcher really emphasizes real-world experience. Imagine being with a client, things are tough, knowing the theory only gets you so far in those moments.
For sure. So how do you get that kind of experience? Are we talking internships, volunteering? What else?
They have some good advice in that getting started section. They're big on internships, especially in places like nursing homes, assisted living, where you're really in it. And volunteering can't go wrong with that. Senior centers, community groups, all that builds experience and indeed connections.
You know what else I was thinking? Even if someone's worked as a caregiver, which a lot of people do, that's got to be invaluable experience.
100%. Anything that lets you actually interact with older adults, understand their needs, learn how to navigate all the stuff that comes with aging that's going to help you in this field. It's about building that empathy, through real life stuff.
Okay, so you've got the education, you're getting the experience, you're making those connections. What about moving up in this career? Where can this path take you long term?
That's what's so cool about gerontology social work. It can change as you change throughout your career. You might start entry level, then you move up, more responsibility, you're leading others, maybe you even pick a specialty, something within gerontology that you're really passionate about.
Specialization, that's a good point. RoleCatcher mentioned a whole bunch of different certifications you can get. So let's say you've been at it a few years, you love it, you want to really focus. Some of those certifications jumped out at me. What can you tell us about them?
Oh, yeah, for sure. So there's the Certified Gerontological Social Worker credential, that's the CGSW, that shows you really know your stuff in this field, right? Or maybe you're more into the organizing side of things, like coordination. The Certified Advanced Social Work Case Manager, that's CAASWCM, that might be more your speed. They've even got a certification just for working with people who have dementia or Alzheimer's, which sadly is a growing need.
Wow, that's incredible how much there is to specialize in. You can really tailor your career to a certain population or area you're an expert in.
Exactly. Plus, let's be real for a sec, having those extra skills makes you even more valuable when you're looking for a job, which is always a good thing.
Speaking of looking for a job,
Mm.
let's talk about that part. Everyone dreads the interview. For a lot of people, that's the most stressful part of getting a job.
Hmm.
Does RoleCatcher have any advice on how to really ace that gerontology social work interview? I mean, yeah, interviews can feel like you're walking on eggshells. So what kind of guidance do they give?
They go way beyond like those basic interview tips everyone gives you. They have this whole section on getting ready for interviews specifically for gerontology social work with questions that are made to really figure out if you've got what it takes to be great in this field.
So none of that tell me your strengths and weaknesses stuff.
Nope. These questions are all about if you get the challenges and the good stuff about working with older adults. They even give you some hints about what the interviewers are looking for in your answers, which I think is super helpful when you're feeling nervous.
Totally. Okay, give us an example. What's a question someone might actually get asked in one of these interviews?
Okay, here's one that I think really gets to the heart of it. How would you handle situations where older adults are lonely or isolated?
Ooh, that's a big one. And I bet that's something gerontology social workers see all the time.
All the time. It's a huge issue for older adults, and it can really impact their mental and physical health. How someone answers that question, it tells you a lot about how much empathy they have, if they can think on their feet, and if they understand the social and emotional side of aging.
It's like that one question sums up this whole career. It's about really connecting with people, not just checking things off a list, but getting how important it is to fight that social isolation.
Exactly. It's about remembering that there's a person with a whole life story, experiences, and a need for connection behind every single client file, every assessment.
It's about treating them with respect, dignity, and appreciating all they've lived through.
And that makes me think about one last thing I want to leave you with. We've talked about the tough parts of this job, the skills you need, how your career can grow, but it really comes down to this. As more and more people get older, the need for gerontology social workers, people who are compassionate, skilled, and dedicated, that need's only going up.
It's like we're about to see this big change in our society, and we need people who are ready to step up and really make a difference in the lives of older adults.
Exactly. That's something powerful to keep in mind.
It really is. This deep dive into the world of gerontology social work has been amazing. I feel like I get it now, the complexities, what makes it tough, but most importantly, the huge positive impact it has. Not just on older adults, but their families too.
It's a career with so much heart, so much purpose, a chance to really make things better for people.
If you're feeling inspired and want to learn more, we'll have links to RoleCatcher.com in the show notes. They've got tons of info on gerontology, social work, and a bunch of other careers, too.
You never know, this might be the start of your next big adventure.
Exactly. And remember, the world needs more people like you, people who care. This has been The Deep Dive. We'll catch you next time as we take another deep dive into a new and fascinating field.